Yes, this new voice they've got of the lady saying that the sessions is being recorded, it still startles me every single time I hear it because it is quite a bit loud. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to do a pre-assessment briefing. Now, if you remember the assessor course, or I told you that there were 5 outcomes for the assessment course. The first is demonstrate understanding of outcomes-based assessments. Then the second one was plan and prepare for assessment. The third one was conduct assessment. The fourth one was giving feedback on assessments. And the last one is doing a review on assessments. Okay, so I'm now going to share the screen with you because there's just something I want to explain to you, and it's a little bit easier if it's visually. Okay, so the assessment process, as I mentioned, has 4 steps. I'm going to draw them here for us on the screen, 4 steps. Okay, and I'm also just going to just give them some colors. I just want to green, yellow, and dark green. Okay. So these are the steps in the process. So you will be doing this with a learner. So you will be doing an assessment with a learner on these unit standards. I'm just going to turn this into a gray one. So you're going to do these 4 steps on a learner. Then you're going to do these 4 steps on another learner. So these blocks are then the assessments that you will be doing. But of course, I am also doing an assessment on you. So that means I've got to also do each of the steps that you're going to be doing with your learners, I've got to be doing with you. So I'm going to do a pre-assessment briefing. I'm going to assess you. I'm going to give you feedback, and I'm going to review you as well. So I'm just going to add in the words here. So this is the pre-assessment. It's going to make the words a little bit smaller. So pre-assessment, assessment, feedback, and review. So I'm going to have to do each of these 4 steps with you, and then you are going to have to do these steps with your learners. Okay, so the unit standard that I will be assessing you on is, of course, unit standard 115753. That's why you'll see a matrix for that. So that was the matrix that you asked the question about in the group earlier today, Graham. That's why we've got that 115753. So you will be doing 2 assessments on unit standard. Okay, I'm just going to have to put in a text block here. 9303. And that unit standard, and on unit standard 9303. So you're going to be doing 2 assessments, and I will be assessing you on your ability to do that assessment, And what unit standard am I making use of? I'm making use of unit standard 115753. Okay, so is that making sense to everybody so far? You can just give me a little hands up or a wave or just an answer in the chat there. Let me just make sure I've got the chat open. Okay, right. So far, so good then. Okay, so this is now what you're going to, this is what we're going to be doing in our assessment. I will be assessing you against this unit standard, and you will be assessing your learner against unit standard 9303. Okay, so let's now think about unit standard 9303 quickly. We're going to visually plot that out as well. So unit standard 9303. How many people did we say are going to be involved in the assessment of unit standard 9303? This was a question of, I think, about 2 weeks ago. And you can just put that answer in the chat. How many people? Okay, so we've got one answer of 3 people. Okay, so who are those people? The one is the candidate assessor. So the candidate assessor. In other words, you. Okay, who's then the other person? Who are the other 2 people involved? So remember, you can just type that into the chat for me. Okay, so there is the assessor, candidate assessor, that's you. And then there's the learner. And then there is the customer. Of course, there is actually also a 4th person involved. And that 4th person is essentially the moderator. So the role that I will be playing in this process is I will be the moderator who is then monitoring if this assessment process is moving appropriately. Okay, so does that make sense to everybody so far? So the role I'm playing is then the role that would usually be played by the moderator. Okay, so what then does your sample learners have to do? Your sample learner has to interact with the customer, and they've got to take some notes, and they've got to answer some questions for you. So when we were looking through that unit standard, I'm just going to stop the screen share so I can bring that up for us. So here is that unit standard 9303. What will your learners be doing? Your learners will be listening for information in a verbal communication. They'll be using clear, plain language in a verbal communication. They'll be providing information in response to a client's request. And they're going to capture information from a verbal communication. That's what your learner is going to have to do. And they'll also have to give you this evidence of the CCFOs, these 4 CCFOs, the identifying, collecting, communicating, and demonstrating. Okay, so we're not going to be carrying out real assessments because that's a little bit difficult to do over Zoom. So you are going to be carrying out then an electronic assessment of some recorded customer service interactions. And the work that those learners have done are in the sample course. So the sample courses is what Cindy has enrolled you for on the platform. But before we move over to doing that, I want to first speak to you what you would need to do in each of the steps. Specifically, like I said earlier, you're going to have to do a pre-assessment briefing. And that what I'm talking about now is what I want you to then to prepare for Friday. Okay. So what you'll see, this is our course. Then you'll also see that there is a sample assessment. And this sample assessment is then going to have your name on it. So this document that I'm using in the pre-assessment section, you also have this document over here. Now, this document, however, is going to be used slightly differently. I'm going to be doing this document with you, and you are then going to practice giving this pre-assessment briefing, and then you're going to be uploading those documents in these sections, but we'll come to that a little bit later. Okay, so the first thing that I would want you to then do is to see if you can go onto the website and then open up this pre-assessment briefing document. Okay, so Izzy, you can actually see that your name is on this document from when we practiced this last year. So everyone else, what I would want you to do is I would want you to open up this assessment plan document. And then we'll have the Word versions here, and then you're going to open up the Word versions and you're going to just sign them for me. But let's then go through this document. I'm going to open it up here and then I'm going to zoom it in. So Izzy, if you're going to just go through it with me. So welcome, Izzy. How are you today? So Izzy, you're still muted.
That sort of, I was muted a bit and I was having a bit of disturbance. Did you say something, Dad?
Yes. So Izzy, as you can see on the screen, this is
Yes.
a pre-assessment briefing and we've got your name filled in there, and we did it on the 22nd of May last year. So I've done the icebreaker activity now. So are you warmed up? Are you ready to carry on with this pre-assessment briefing?
Yes, I am ready because now we've just done an ice breaking, so I'm relaxed. I'm free to do it.
Right. So Izzy, the first thing I would then want to do is I would want to just explain to you the assessment process. Okay, just hold on, everyone. There should be a different version of this document that I just actually want to open. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
So I'm going to share the screen again. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to explain this document to you. And then on Friday, you are going to have to explain this document to me. I'll be just standing in for your learner. So yeah, we can see there that this is what you have to do and this is what you have to say. So I've welcomed Izzy and I've told him those things. So then I'm going to say, Izzy, my name is Dirk Reyneke and I've got 16 years of experience in ETD facilitations and assessment, and this qualifies me to do this assessment. Now what I want to do next is I want to explain to you what assessment is. So assessment is a step-by-step process of collecting and evaluating evidence gathered on an individual's performance against a specific set of criteria. This set of criteria is known as a unit standard, and it was created by SAQA, the South African Qualifications Authority. So the SAQA structure is, SAQA is the authority responsible for the awarding of qualifications in South Africa. They also maintain the learner record database. And in order for the learners' work to appear on this database, they have to have been assessed by an accredited training provider. So this is a credit-bearing course, which means once completed, your name will appear on the National Learner Records database, and the result will be nationally recognized. So this system is also known as the National Qualifications Framework, the NQF of South Africa. This framework consists of various types of qualifications and part qualifications that are described in terms of levels and credits. The NQF system has 10 levels which measure complexity, with 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest. The duration of the qualification is determined by the amount of credits, with 1 credit being equal to 10 hours of work. Okay, so do you have any questions there, Izzy?
No questions so far. Your explanation is very clear. Thank you.
Okay, so now I'm going to explain to you the assessment process, the things that we are going to do. So this assessment process has got 4 steps. Step 1 is planning and preparation. During this step, we will discuss the logistics, such as the time, date, and place where the assessment will take place, as well as providing an opportunity for input from yourself regarding any special circumstances or needs you may have. Step 2 is conducting the assessment. During this step, we will make use of different methods of assessment. These methods include observation, which is me watching you perform a task, as well as listening to what you say during your activities. Questioning, which is me asking you questions in either oral or written form or both. And product evaluation, which is where I'm going to look at any physical documents or products that you have produced during the course of the assessment process. We will use various activities during the assessment, and they will include a combination of the following: on-the-job performance, simulation, role-play, demonstrations, workbooks, interviews, exams, or assignments. Step 3 is where I will be giving you feedback on your performance. This will be a two-way discussion between us in order to establish any areas for improvement, as well as areas in which you have excelled. We will also discuss further steps that you need to do to utilize this qualification you will receive. In the event that you are found not yet competent against any of the criteria, you will be given the opportunity to be reassessed against those specific criteria, and you will have 3 chances in which to do so at no extra financial cost to you. Should you require any extra reassessments, we will discuss it as it arises. Step 4 is the process of review. This is where I, as the assessor, will invite you to provide suggestions on any parts of the assessment process which you feel can be changed or improved for future use. Okay, so any questions so far there, Izzy?
Am I allowed to appeal if I'm not satisfied with the outcome?
Yes, we're going to cover that here at point number 13, how the appeals process would work.
Okay.
Okay. So let's now go over to point number 6 here. The criteria against which you will be assessed today is Unit Standard 9303, communicate verbally with clients in a financial environment. There's also a copy of this unit standard in your course that you can also just take a look at as we go through it. So then we're going to go through the specific outcomes with the learners. Okay, so everyone, for the purposes of our exercise this evening, I'm not going to be doing that, but I am going to expect you to be doing it for me when you are giving your pre-assessment briefing. Okay, so I'm not doing point number 6 now in detail, but you would be doing point number 6 in detail because it's important that you see it, and me going through the whole document now is just going to eat up a lot of time this evening. So then at number 7, discuss the assessment plan. So now I want us to go through this document that we have here. It's called the assessment plan. On this assessment plan, I'm just going to upload we're going to find all of the details for this particular assessment. Okay, so this is now in a PDF document, and then I'm just going to add onto this document as we go along, just so that you can see that all of the information that I'm giving you is the right information. Okay, so then who's going to be the assessor? That is going to be me. Who's going to be the learner? That is going to be you, Essie. And then who are the clients going to be? That is going to be Joe and Yvonne. So what equipment are we going to require? We're going to require tables, chairs, pens, and a computer. How long is the equipment going to be required? It's going to be required for 1 day. I'm going to be the assessor. Our safety issues are just basic occupational health and safety. What are the relevant emergency procedures or contact persons? That's just going to be 10111. When is the assessment going to take place? 2 days from now. So that would be the 4th of June, 2021. How long is the assessment going to take place? It's going to be an hour. The requirements of the venue is sufficient space. It needs to be quiet. It needs to be well lit, ventilation and sanitation supplies for avoiding COVID-19. It's going to take place at Audit Campus, and alternatively, we're going to be doing it over Zoom. So what documentation is going to be required? The learners and the assessor. Learners would need their ID and assessors would need an assessment guide. Who's going to get informed about this results after we've finished with the assessment? Obviously yourself as the learner, then the moderator here at Audit Campus, then the bank SETA, and then the sponsor, the bank or the organization that is paying for you to do the course. So in real life on this next bit, you would fill in the actual accreditation details, but here we're just going to fill in, yes, accredited until 2021. Does the provider have program approval? Yes, until end 2021. And then yes, registered until end 2021. And then all of the involved parties have confirmed the readiness. Okay. And then you'll see on the version that we've uploaded for you, your candidate will already have signed, and then you would just add your signature and today's date on it. And then you would just upload this document onto the LMS. But I'll show you on Friday how to take care of that. So then we're now going to move back to the pre-assessment briefing, because we've now discussed the assessment plan. Then at point number 8, that's where you will tell the learner about the sequence of the assessment activities. So Izzy, what we're first going to do is I'm going to ask you a question, which is going to take about 2 or 3 minutes. Then you're going to answer that question for me. Then we're going to go over into a role play where you're going to help a customer for about 5 to 10 minutes. And then after that is finished, I will take a couple of minutes to look at the notes that you took during the process. So there's no special deadlines. We're just going to do the work as it comes up. Any questions about those points?
I'm clear. Thank you so much. So far, so good. I'm clear with the instruction.
Okay. So the next thing I want you to do is I want you to be aware of that there is this process called RPL. Now, RPL stands for Recognition of Prior Learning. This refers to any experience you may have that is relevant to this assessment, which we can use as additional evidence. So in this particular instance, if you've worked at a financial institution before, or if you've been involved in the selling of insurance or anything similar to that, have you done anything like that?
Not yet. I'm just hearing about RPL for the first time.
Okay, but you've never helped customers in a financial environment?
I have.
Okay, can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yes, I was working for a company, and it's a financial institution, one of the banks. Mm-hmm. And there was a customer who wanted to inquire about the accounts there was some queries about the account, and I was able to trace what happened to the customer's account within that financial transactions.
Okay, so you were working at the bank at some point.
Yes.
Okay, are you still working at the bank?
No, I'm not working at the bank anymore.
Okay, how long ago was this?
It was 5 years ago.
Okay, and was this part of your day-to-day job at the bank?
Yes, it was one of my responsibilities to ensure that the clients get assisted when they have queries on their accounts.
Okay, so it's good that you've now told me about this experience. So the next thing I need to find out is I need to find out if you've got any kind of supporting evidence, because I can't just RPL you based on you saying that you've done it. So do you have any kind of testimonials or stuff like that? So Izzy, in this case, I want you to say no.
Yeah, okay, no, I don't have anything at this stage to show.
So when you're then doing this RPL, you would want to explain what it is to the person, and then you would want to ask them questions based on the topic to find out if it would be possible to RPL them. Okay. So in this case, Izzy has given some of the answers that would make RPL feasible. So then I would now have to ask him for evidence like who was he working with, who was his boss, can I get that person's number? And then I would have to follow up on any evidence like that that he can suggest to me. So we're in your circumstances now, we're not going to be delving into that. So we're just going to take it that Izzy said he doesn't have any evidence there. Okay, so the next thing that I want us to talk about, Izzy, are barriers and special needs. So barriers are environmental problems that are going to give you a difficulty when you're doing your assessment. So it could be things like load shedding, it could be things like not having data to do the Zoom call or anything similar to that. Can you think of any barriers like this that would impact on your ability to do an assessment on Friday?
The lack of data might be a challenge for me.
Okay, but let's see if we can manage, and then if it becomes a problem, you'll just let me know.
Okay.
So special needs are factors which are inherent to yourself, which might affect your ability to do the assessments. So examples of special needs can be temporary ones like illness or poor sleep, or permanent like a physical impairment like deafness or something like that. So because there are other people listening to this pre-assessment briefing, you don't have to tell me if you've got any special needs. On the form, there is a place where you can then just fill it in. Okay. So if you think of any special needs or any barriers that could impact you, please then note it down on the form, and you can also just send me a WhatsApp to let me know about them. Okay, so over to point number 11, or do you have any questions about barriers and special needs?
No, I'm very clear. Thank you for the explanation.
Right, so now I'm going to explain the roles, expectations, and the responsibilities of all of the participants. So you're the learner, and you will be expected to be present for the assessment on a timely fashion and to perform all of the activities to the best of your ability. Secondly, there is the assessor, that's now me. I will be expected to conduct the assessment in a fair and consistent manner and not to introduce any unnecessary barriers. Then we have the moderator. They're responsible for ensuring that I carry out all the assessment according to all 11 principles. So, and then of course there is the customer. The customer would need to follow my instructions and to give you, and not to be so difficult that you cannot actually pass the assessment. So those are the roles and responsibilities of all of the involved parties. Do you have any questions about that?
No questions so far. All is very clear.
Okay. So then there are 4 principles. So then the next thing I've got to do to you is I've got to explain the 11 principles of assessment. These principles of assessment are the rules that I must follow during the assessment. So if there's something that you do that's not in line with one of these principles, then I'm not going to be able to find you competent. And if there's something that I've done that's not in line with these principles, then you will be able to lodge an appeal. Okay. Any questions there? Okay.
No, it's very clear. Thank you for explanation.
Then once again, I'm not going to now take you through all of the 11 principles
Yes.
because I did that when we had our theory lesson. So we're not going to go through that. Now, the next thing that we're going to talk about, Izzy, is in answer to your earlier question on the appeals. So lastly, we will then discuss this appeals process. If you as the learner find that you disagree with any of my findings based on the principles of assessment, you have the right to appeal this decision. This appeals process will consist of the following 3 steps. First, step 1, you have to bring it to my attention during the feedback portion of the assessment. We will then discuss the matter and try to resolve it between the 2 of us. If we are unable to come to an agreement, then we're going to proceed to step number 2. So step 2 is if the assessor and the moderator can't, or the assessor and the learner can't reach an agreement, the appeal will be referred to the moderator. If the moderator is unable to resolve the matter, the process will move over to step 3. Then in step 3, if the moderator and you as the learner can't resolve the matter, we're then going to refer you to the ETQA for arbitration. In this case, the ETQA, the Education Training Quality Assurance Body, would be Bank CETA because they have responsibility over this particular unit standard. Okay, so any further questions there?
No, it's fine. I understand all the steps and understand all the appeal processes now.
Then what I want you to just do for me is I want you to fill in this document to say that you have you understand the assessment process, that you agree on the time and the date and the place as discussed in the assessment plan. Over here, you can indicate when you've got any special needs or barriers. Over here, you can indicate whether you've got any comments regarding RPL. Then I want you to put your name and your ID number there, read through the declaration, and then sign over there, and I will sign over there as the assessor. So then I want you to do that for me electronically, please, Izzy.
Thank you so much. We'll do that.
Okay. So now what I want everybody to do is I'm just, so you will have done assignment number 1 and assignment number 2. And then over here, we've got the practical assessment. And in the practical assessment, that is where you will be putting the evidence of your particular assessment. So over here is where I'm going to have you just sign the assessment plan and the pre-assessment briefing documents. But what I'm going to want you to do for me is in your sample course, that's where your documents that you're going to have with your learners are going to be done in. But in our course, the one that says outcomes-based assessment, May to June 2021, you're going to see I'm going to now create a little section here that's called pre-assessment briefing. So, okay, I'm just busy typing it up there. And then I'm going to make it the deadline for the 5th. And then I'm just going to put reminding you to grade on the 6th. So what I'm going to want you to do here for me is I want you to open up Zoom, because remember, you can open up Zoom without any participants in your meeting. And then what I want you to do is I want you to record this meeting that you're just having by yourself. And then I want you to explain this pre-assessment document and the assessment plan document as if you're explaining it to a learner. And then I want you to upload it in this section. So you would click over there and then you would add a submission. And then you would just upload that video file that Zoom will have made. If you struggle doing that particular exercise, you can just send me a WhatsApp and then I'll just guide you a bit through the process. But it's simple. You just open up Zoom, you tell it to record, you talk to the screen until you're through the whole briefing. Then when you close off the session, it's going to tell you that it's converted, and then it will save it on your computer. And then you just upload that video file for me. Okay, I see the share screen was off there, so I just want to turn it on again to just show you. So this is your assessor course in which you're enrolled. The place where I want you to upload your pre-assessment briefing video is over here. So I'm just going to say upload pre-assessment briefing video. Okay, so I would like for you to work on this so that you can then submit it for us on Friday, so that then on Friday I can explain to you what's the next activity that we're going to do. And then if you are finished with that activity, you're going to go on and do the other 2 bits of the assessment and to do your review report. And then you're actually going to be finished with your assessment. So it's very possible for us to be finished with this course by next week, Friday. Okay, so then I know it's still very early, but I am still a bit sick, so I'm going to ask that we close off the session now. So if you do have any questions, you are in the WhatsApp group with me, and then I'll be able to assist you over there. So what's important then for Friday, I want you to make a video of where you are giving a pre-assessment briefing to your learner, and then upload that video, and then we're going to mark that, and then we're going to talk about how you're going to be doing the rest of the assessment. So this then is Dirk Reyneke from Audit Campus, wishing you a pleasant evening. So goodbye, everyone. Have a nice evening. See you again on Friday.